The piece I'm going to play next almost doesn't need an introduction because it's utterly famous. It's Pictures at an Exhibition by Modest Mussorgsky. This piece became really famous in Maurice Ravel orchestration, but today I'm playing original piano version as Mussorgsky wrote this composition. And not all of Russian musicians are actually like Ravel orchestration because they think it's too festive. To understand this piece better, we probably need to take a look into who was Modest Mussorgsky himself. Everybody knows his famous painting by Ilya Repin, which was painted approximately 4 or 5 days before his death. Red nose, messy hair, he is in his robe, and you will understand correctly that he was alcoholic by the end of his life. But he wasn't like this all of his life. He actually was pretty shining example of a Russian officer. If you look at his handwritings, you will see they really accurate. They really neat and clean, which is not the case with a lot of composers. So what was the main inspiration for those pictures at an exhibition? Mussorgsky had a really close friend, Victor Hartmann. He was a painter, but he passed away very early, and his friends actually organized exhibition with his pictures. And Mussorgsky went to this exhibition, and he was so deeply moved, deeply stricken by those pictures. He wrote this cycle, and he wanted to portray himself walking from picture to picture and how his mood changes from picture to picture. The opening theme is actually author Modest Mussorgsky himself walking in really interesting pace, which you can count in 11. It's really uncommon through those times. So you can hear it yourself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It was so unusual, and actually later was used, the same meter, 11, was used by famous Russian composer Rimsky-Korsakov. You know, Flight of Bumblebee by Rimsky-Korsakov. It was used in his opera Snegurочка, and one of the conductors couldn't conduct 11 unless he was saying to himself, Rimsky-Korsakov completely went crazy, so it helped him to conduct. So it telling us how uncommon, how modern it was for those times. After the interlude, the promenade, you will see or hear the actual first picture, the gnome. But it's not just gnome, it was picture, which is now lost and we couldn't recover that. It was picture a really crippled little man, and it was portraying something really evil and nasty, as you can hear in this music. So, very evil. And after this number, there is a prominent, again, more subtle and more quiet matter. And after this promenade, you will hear Old Castle. And I would say it's castle in Spain because of the rhythm and harmonies you will hear. However, as you might know, Spain was invaded a lot of times with Muslims, with Mavritans. So you can hear some Oriental things in this music. Very interesting, very unusual music. And after this Old Castle, you can hear promenade again coming. Very confident. Next number called Tuileries, or Quarrel of Children at Play, which is very fast and very light. Next number called Bydla. If you translate it from Russian, you will get cattle, but I don't think it's actually cattle. I think it's a figurative meaning of people who are working so hard that working themselves to death. You can hear it in a left hand. After this number, the main theme promenade coming again, but now it's in minor because definitely the author was so stricken by this picture, by imagining people working so hard, working themselves to death, that his mood changes. But immediately afterwards, he sees something different. He sees a picture of chickens in hatched shells, which is very light and very uplifting. Right after the ballet, you will hear two Jews, poor Jew and rich Jew. But the actual name of this piece is Samuel Goldenberg and Shmuley. And actually, Samuel and Shmuley, it's the same name. So you can see this not as two persons, but as one person who talks, who changes his voice, depends on who he's talking to. For example, the opening, it's definitely Samuel Goldenberg who is talking to someone condescendingly. And then he talks with someone who is higher than him. He changes his voice. Very pitiful. After two Jews, you will hear the promenade again, which is actually omitted in Ravel orchestration. So in the original piano version, it's there. The original theme in 11. And after that, Mussiogsky brings us to French market in French town Limoges. And you can hear women arguing about some big news they don't agree about. It's a very comic, very fast number. And at the end, it turns in complete chaos. But it doesn't go for long because Mussorgsky switches pictures again, and now it's very dark and stark number called Catacombs, the place of dead. Next number which follows, called With Dead and Death Language. Mussorgsky himself wrote on the score, which in his writing says that the actual spirit of Gartman, his friend who passed away, talks to him in this music. So you can hear some very shimmering sounds in this number. So that's probably a light of the soul which passing away, and you can still feel its presence. Next number called Baba Yaga, or A Hut on the False Legs. I have to explain who Baba Yaga is. It's not just a forest witch, as usually it portrayed in Russian fairy tales. It's more mighty, it's more powerful forest goddess. She is very scary and very powerful, and she has not only a broom, she has a stone mortar which she moves in, so she jumps, and you can hear those violent jumps in this music. See Baba Yaga making some spells or conjuring, or making a potion. This number ends with very fast, very violent passage, which goes on a crescendo towards the top of the keyboard, and it immediately ends and goes to the next number called Bogatyrsky Varota, or Great Gates of Kiev, which is very, very Russian, and as an opposite to the previous number about something evil, it's very celebratory of the Russian spirit, of everything good in Russians. And you will hear chords. In the middle of this number, you will hear Russian Church Orthodox choir. Very subtle. And then the signature thing, which is very common for Russian music, especially later, especially with Rachmaninoff, you will hear bells. And those giant bells, they bringing back the original theme, which goes in a quadruple size. Actually, it's fortissimo. It's very, very loud. So this is a celebration of Russian spirit, of the winning the battle with evil. So I gave you some ideas, what is this music about, but it's up to you to decide now what is actually it's about for you.